It'll be fun looking back just a few years from now and laugh at how some people kept insisting Tesla is just a car company. Far from it. Today, we'll review all the different businesses Tesla's future cash flows will come from software sales and subscriptions, software licensing and hardware sales to other automakers, energy storage, robotaxi ride hailing, humanoid robots, and others. Help me to do this is Brian White from FutureAza YouTube channel. He explores every single one of these topics quite in depth. Check him out there. Thank you so much, Brian. Appreciate you.
You know, it's exciting to look back and see how some of the future predictions from decades ago were simply asking the wrong questions. And, you know, the example that comes to mind that I'm thinking of is there's this video of the home of the future, 1999. And, yeah, they thought that you would be able to shop from the comfort of your home by looking at a TV screen, while at the store, a camera wanders around the store in your place. So close, you guys, so close.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you to make the same future predictions, of course, not that far away. Very close. Tesla is a car company, Brian. Makes lots of money selling cars. Although we've got hints that there's lots of other revenue streams. I got inspired by this from Omar's catalog post, future cash flow. So it's going to come from software sales and subscriptions, software licensing, hardware supply to other automakers. Of course, you got the vehicle sales and service, energy storage and sales and service. You got rideshare network, you got humanoid robots. There's lots of other things as well. Let's start with that. Which one of these do you want to tackle first?
Well, let's start with subscriptions, because everybody hates software subscriptions. But what if the software is really, really good? What if it's software that you need to do your business? If your business is ride sharing, or, you know, a lot of things that would involve professional driving, now it's a business tool. Now you can't live without it. But I would say that FSD is so good that I would, it's my most expensive subscription, and I'm still happy to pay it. I only got it originally because it came free with the car. Of course, I got it again because professional curiosity and content. I got to make content. But since about 12.4-ish, it's so good that I just can't go back. Autopilot is free. It's fantastic, but it's not FSD. It's not even close. And, I feel bad for the other markets that don't yet have access to it, but more of those are coming online all the time. And if you had, even if the take rate was 20% of 10 million cars bringing in $100 a month, that's a real pile of cash. You could just stop making cars altogether.
Yeah. I just did a show with Cern Basher, and he looked at FSD, full self-driving subscription kind of revenue. We played a game where he said, okay, what would happen if 100% of Tesla's cars adopt FSD? And then what would happen if other car companies start to license it? And he showed us, you know, how many cars Tesla makes now, how many cars other automakers make. What happens if they start licensing this? And even if no other car company licenses, but if just Tesla's FSD rises to 100% or something like that, it's equal to the existing car business today. And it will actually double it over time. Just the software license alone. But once other car companies license it from Tesla, then we're talking, you know, massive multiples to what the car company is today. So just that one alone, that's one example.
It goes crazy. It gets real crazy real quick. I've talked with Cern a number of times, and yeah, one time he asked me to look at his model and tell him what I thought. And I said, I know what you're doing. You're trying to understate the numbers as much as you can. He's like, yeah, because if I don't, it looks insane. I'm like, I'm with you. I get it. I feel the same way. But the beauty is, if you're looking at the most conservative possible numbers and they're still crazy, good. Go with those and be pleasantly surprised when it goes in another direction. Yeah. Tesla is just a car company. It's just a car company, Herbert, don't you know? I had a comment the other day from someone who had never posted a comment on my channel before, and was definitely a real person and not someone just trying to stir up nonsense. He said, well, now that the car sales are flat, I'm just not convinced that the company's going in the right direction. You know, I think they're distracted by FSD. That's not a distraction, my friend. That is the whole show.
That's funny. Okay. And then there will be, as you said, other subscriptions, right? That's the interesting part. They're already charging for premium connectivity, $10 a month or something like that. They can charge for entertainment, right? Once you have more free time and don't have to drive the car, they can drive for work-related subscriptions. You were talking about some sort of access to, let's say, restaurants, and maybe they might charge you, pay you
Right.
for
The
information
restaurants
or
will want to advertise
reservations,
in that car.
advertising. That'll be
Absolutely.
interesting. Okay, so
Yes.
software license.
Yeah,
Next
go
one
ahead.
is software licensing and hardware supply to other automakers. Wanted to ask you about this. There's people who believe, right, that Tesla's going to sell FSD and license that to many automakers, and that all automakers will have to jump. Of course, we just now heard NVIDIA come out and say, well, we've got the chips, we've got the software for simulation. You can just use our tools and try to do it on your own, but using our tools. Toyota made that announcement. Do you think that a lot of car companies are now going to, instead of licensing FSD, they'll try to just use NVIDIA as their Android version of their partnership?
Well, they've got a real come to Jesus moment coming up this year. I am of the belief that FSD has never been closer. And
Right.
you and I have been watching over the past 6 months as edge case after edge case is erased after more and more routes are simply comfortable. If this is solved this year, by the end of this year, I think we will see partners lining up because we know Tesla's got something that works. We know we can start designing around it today. They will have to design around it. They can't just grab their next car that's coming out next year and add it on. This goes all the way down to the bone. So they're going to need to design a whole new car. And it would not just be the FSD, it would be the whole operating system, I believe. And I think Tesla would cut them a great deal on that just to make it happen. And so I think as soon as it's clearly solved, Tesla is at that point the leader, and everyone will have a choice to make. Am I going to pay $3,000 to NVIDIA and hope that my team can integrate it within 5 years? Or do we just go with Tesla for less money and have it done quicker?
So there's a couple of points here I've been noodling on, trying to figure it out, debating. I think that Tesla will partner with some automakers, okay, 2 or 3. But I'm now not as convinced as I was before that there will be, just like everybody said, oh, just like the superchargers, every automakers will fall and they'll just start partnering with Tesla. The reason is that it takes 3 years or longer, significant commitment from a car maker to make their new cars in the future to be fully FSD robotaxi ready, right? They need to not only install the cheap hardware, that's easy, not only to install the computer screen, that's easy, but it's a lot more. It's integration into the company and to the car. Tesla themselves said it'll take at least 3 years for the most, eager automaker to really, really want to make this happen. My thinking now, I'm just noodling on this, is that they'll partner with 2 or 3 automakers for FSD and then stop. Tesla will just decide to make those cars themselves, because it's probably as easier for Tesla to create a factory, to create a car, than it is to convince these automakers to create their new version of their car.
I can see that. I think that absolutely makes sense because, they'll just sell them the hardware. No, they're going to have to also lease them the engineers to make the integration actually work. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And what we're seeing is that it's not easy. And that when you get something like the Waymo approach, even their Gen 6 Zeekr van they're looking to use has to be, it is hardware on top of a platform. And that is a very different solution than the platform is the hardware.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla's mission, right, is sustainable energy. How do you get robotaxi as fast and wide as possible? And of course, you got to be careful. You don't want to be seen as the monopoly or anything like that. So is it by partnering with these old legacy companies that will have to integrate new technology? And how long will it take them to actually launch these new cars? How many cars can they produce with this new technology, right? Or is it creating your factory that you have optimized to mass produce these cybercabs and just produce as many of those as possible? You can maybe do both. right?
So there's a few solutions here. One is, how many cars could Tesla make? Well, even from the existing factories, if they were just all the way ramped up, you'd
Mm,
be talking 3, 4 million plus whatever the robotaxi is, plus whatever the second and third robotaxi factories are making. So Tesla could eat up a big chunk of the market real quick. They could also go the Honda Prologue route. They could start white label selling Teslas as some other brand. I don't know if those other brands are interested. I
right.
don't know if Tesla's interested, but it's a
Hmm.
thing they could do. Forget making EVs, just buy ours and relabel, just have us label. We'll just slap your sticker on. It's fine.
Hmm.
And you can have some of your own interior finishes, whatever. You just order it. If the volume is there, we'll make it work. And yeah, the monopoly thing is very, very overblown. It is not a real concern. You look at Google search. Google search absolutely has a monopoly. They're not being broken up because competition does exist. Uh, Alphabet runs the risk of being broken up, not because of search, but because of the way they're integrating products as anti-competitive. So, GM at one point had over 50% of the market. They were not broken up for being a monopoly. And there are alternatives. They're not good alternatives, but the alternatives do exist. Even today, Waymo exists, Zoox kind of exists, a bunch of companies in China exist. If you ask somebody who doesn't know anything, they'll say Mercedes Level 3 is a competitor. All of those things would be weighed in the calculus there, and the answer would be it's not a monopoly. Just because you're better than the competition doesn't mean you cheated.
Yeah. Very interesting what will end up happening. But that's definitely going to be a revenue stream for Tesla because they are trying to expand this. Appreciate the way you explained all that. That was great. Let's take a look at these last three here. So you got stationary storage, sales and service, right? Energy, you got rideshare network, autonomy, and you got human or robots. Which of these do you think? I mean, obviously energy is skyrocketing a bit. Can you speak a little bit to the subscription that companies, when they buy the mega packs, there's a subscription attached to that. That's a future cash flow. That's higher margin. And then, of course, rideshare and humanoid. Be curious to see which one of those come sooner.
So on stationary storage, if you buy a mega pack, what you also get is a service contract. And that service contract, last time I looked, was something like $40,000 or $50,000 a year. And I believe that price is per mega pack. So if you buy, 20 of them, that's $1 million a year in service fees. And service for what? What are we servicing? What are we actually? Well, you're going to be changing the air filters and doing all the weed eating around it to keep the weeds down. So, what are we fixing? The moving parts? How many moving parts do you imagine there are? My guess is somewhere between 0 and 2. So, not many. So, that uh, what they're really getting for that money, and it's worth it, is software updates. Every time their bidding software, their allocation software gets a little smarter, it just is there and working. And to me, as the customer of a utility, that's hugely valuable. Um, and I would pay a fortune for it. But for Tesla, it costs very little because they're still developing it anyway. And that cost is spread out over all these customers and all these installations. So I don't see that being multi billions of dollars, but it is good. And if we're talking warranty repairs, there will be some real costs there, but they're using lithium iron phosphate batteries, which have a very long lifespan with far more charge cycles than you get from the batteries that are in our cars, typically the NMC batteries. So on that part, you're getting that. But in the battery storage, the energy side, you've also got a little bit of money coming in from superchargers. They are not trying to make that a profit center, but they routinely are giving away supercharging. Someone's got to pay for that. And yes, they can pay for it up front with, a slightly higher price, but it doesn't cost 40 cents to build out the network. So there's a lot of money in charging. There's a lot of money in power walls. There's a lot of money in mega packs. And of course, the subscriptions that go with it. And then you've got auto bidder. If it's able to arbitrage the power in my house back to the grid and take a small percentage for themselves, I'm okay with that too. That could be a tremendous revenue stream in the future as more utilities open up to virtual power plants.
Thank you for explaining all that. You know a lot about energy. That's why I encourage people to check out your channel. Take a look at his YouTube video on energy, the deep dives. He knows everything. I appreciate you, Brian, for sharing that. Let's talk. I think a theme that we haven't explored and talked enough about is how Tesla is flipping the whole entire kind of asset ownership. You're not just buying energy or power wall. You're not just buying a car that you're spending money for. You're going to actually make money now, right?
Yes. At the very least, you'll get some of your money back for buying something you were willing to buy anyway. But in many cases, you'll get more than your money back. People who bought the very first Cybertrucks, 100 grand for a dual motor. Oh my gosh, if I sell that today, I'm going to lose a fortune. Well, great, but you rented it out for $400, $500 a day for a month. I mean, that's a lot of money you made right out of the gate. I hope it was enough.
If you rent it out, yeah, as a robotaxi. Right. But there's so many other things like insurance. People, you might not have to pay insurance anymore, right? Because if you're driving your car with full self-driving, the cost for you to buy the full self-driving is equal to the reduction in insurance. That's already showing up today. But imagine when your car can make you money. So Tesla's revenue stream, right? They're going to share the revenue stream with partners, including us as customers. And we don't know what it is yet, but let's say 60-40, right? We make 60%, they make 40%. We're going to make money. Tesla's going to make money, and that's going to flip everything. Do you think that Tesla's going to, again, this whole thing about robotaxi and rideshare. So they'll start it off with their own Teslas, employees' Teslas, our Teslas in certain states. But as this grows, are they going to partner with not just customers like us? Big companies.
Big companies for sure. Yeah. It's easier to have one point of contact than 1,000 points of contact. And I think it'll make sense. I think they'd be wise to start with people like Ryan from the Kilowatts, because he'll put 30 cars on it from day one, or however many he has now. So those kind of people would be a good test case. And then we'll see his fleet, other fleets come on that are even bigger. And it'll be a whole lot of revenue. What's concerning to me is that Uber somehow doesn't know how to make money. They charge so much. They rip off everyone, the buyer, the seller, they rip off everyone, and they still don't make money. But I'm convinced that's because Uber is grossly incompetent. And I don't know how so many analysts fail to recognize it. I can only assume that they haven't taken Uber in enough different markets to see how poorly it operates.
Yeah. It's interesting why they're still succeeding, because they are charging more than a taxi user charge. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously for years they subsidized it. And so you thought that they were cheaper, but no longer. They're more expensive now. So it's going to be very easy, I think, once robotaxi comes in, undercharges these guys, they'll be done. Unless they partner. So humanoid robots, we did a video recently. We saw Jensen Huang saying the first use case is going to be the factory. It seems to be the case. But if you look at Tesla's website, you look at others, they all position it as for the home, and customers will be able to buy this. That's going to be a massive revenue stream, right? We've heard Tesla, Elon himself, right, say that it's going to cost $30,000 per, maybe even $20,000 per, and once you start making this in mass scale. So the cost for creating the bots will fall dramatically, but the revenue is subscription, and it's ongoing. It's yearly. Do you think that customers will be able to buy this, consumers, or years away?
Well, I do think we're years away from you and I being able to buy one. I think I think today they could absolutely start putting them in their own factories and testing them out that way. But before that, even, I think they could have them doing not factory floor work, but office work, office janitorial, for example, bringing people things that they need, deliveries. I think all that would be very easy. Put them in the mail room. If you can sort the mail and get it to the right desk, we've got a product here. So I think, the robots are going to be a market size that is hard to comprehend. And I've seen people say, why does everyone say, can it fold clothes? Can it only do this one thing? And it's because that's what we need it to do. That's what one person needs it to do. I'm sure my kids would say, can't it just do dishes? No, I need you to do the dishes, for crying out loud. I cooked it. I paid for it. You got to clean them. But yeah, the market will be huge. And if you figure, well, would you pay, if it was ethical and you had the opportunity, would you pay someone $3 an hour to do your chores? Of course, in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Well, there you go. You can afford a robot then.
Exactly. I think there's going to be a skills marketplace where Tesla and others can basically, instead of just like letting you buy a bot and it can do anything and everything, because once you've trained it to do one thing, all the bots can do it, right?
Right.
And so the skills will just explode. But a skills marketplace would be a subscription revenue that's just unbelievable money that you can make, right? Yeah. No, I want my bot to play tennis with me, but you don't care. So I might have to pay extra for that tennis skill, and I play tennis with the bot, right? It's going to blow out all the other revenue streams.
As much as I hate it, I would absolutely pay that. I would absolutely pay for it. I need it to do something specialized. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you want it to, do.
Yeah. And this is how they might also charge significant more for businesses, right? If you've got a very specific business, like say banana distribution and managing the bananas and building those crates or putting things in crates, they can charge a hell of a lot more for that than say they might charge a consumer for something like that. So they can that, using a skills marketplace. I predict the skills marketplace is going to be the single biggest revenue stream any company has ever made, ever. It's going to be like the app store of the ages.
It would be, yeah. And I wonder if, just like FSD, they will have the opportunity to just lease it. Just do a perpetual lease. It costs this much a month. Yeah. And maybe they even prefer it that way. And the beauty there is there's no such thing as warranty or recalls or depreciation.
For the hardware itself. Yeah. Instead of buying it outright, just lease it out.
And so then
monthlies. Yeah.
If you have a problem, one of the actuators is out. I didn't even notice. I get a knock at the door and it's a brand new one saying, I'm here to swap out with Terry.
Exactly. I think, that this is a great way to kind of the ending point here of this whole conversation is not only do we have all these different cash flows, but Tesla is moving away from a one-time vehicle sale or asset sale, one-time megapack sale, to everything becoming a subscription, just a monthly payment for either the energy, for the car, or the robot, or whatever thing they make. It's no longer an asset sale. It's going to be a subscription to it. And because everything that Tesla sells is not just a product anymore. They're not just a car company, but they're also not just a product company. They're a services company bundled with software and services and skills. So, okay. Great conversation. I appreciate we had this. We'll probably revisit this as we learn more, but it's good to start the conversation and start thinking. Thank you very much, Brian. Check him out at his YouTube channel, FutureAza, his X account. Subscribe to him on both the YouTube channel and his X account. He has, again, extra content, extra information, deep dive info that he shares on both his X and YouTube. Thanks, Brian. Bye, everybody. I've created a website that is the most comprehensive resource for the Tesla investor. Please check it out. Simply go to my website at herbertong.com.